Dad refused to walk me down the aisle because my sister demanded the spotlight. He froze when he saw who took his place. I stare at my phone, the wedding dress pooling around me like spilled cream. The screen glows with the message that destroys everything I've dreamed of. Can't make it down the aisle, Flora. Brittany's promotion party is too important. Maybe I'll catch the reception. My father's words blur as tears flood my vision. The bridal suite at Magnolia Manor spins around me, crystal champagne flutes gleaming on the mahogany vanity, my grandmother's lace veil draped across the antique chair, my bridesmaids frozen mid-preparation like mannequins in a department store window. The grandfather clock in the corner ticks mercilessly toward 4 p.m. No, I whisper, then louder. No, no, no. With a strangled cry, I hurl my iPhone across the room. It hits the silk-papered wall with a sickening crack and tumbles onto the Persian carpet. My bridesmaids gasp in unison, Chloe's mascara wand suspended mid-air, Rebecca's mouth forming a perfect circle of shock. Flora, what happened? Rebecca asks, taking a careful step toward me in her dusty rose bridesmaid dress. I can't answer, can't breathe. The room shrinks, walls closing in, my chest tightening until each heartbeat feels like a sledgehammer against my ribs. The 3-carat diamond on my finger suddenly weighs 1,000 pounds, a promise about to be fulfilled while another lies shattered at my feet. The oak door swings open, and Miranda, our wedding coordinator, bustles in with her iPad and perpetual efficiency. 2 hours until processional, ladies. Time to, she stops abruptly, sensing the thick tension. What's going on? My father. The words scrape my throat raw. He's not coming. Not coming. Miranda's professional composure cracks. But we planned everything around him walking you down the aisle at precisely 4 o'clock. Well, he's not. My voice sounds foreign, brittle as autumn leaves. Brittany's promotion party at some trendy downtown restaurant is apparently more important than his daughter's wedding day. The words hang in the air like smoke, their truth more painful spoken aloud. The memory rises unbidden, standing beside my mother's mahogany casket 15 years ago, my 12-year-old hand clutched in my father's as mourners filed past in their black suits and somber dresses. I'll always be there for the big moments, Flora, he'd promised, his voice rough with grief. You and me, kiddo. We're a team now. What a beautiful lie that had been. 8 months ago, when Jake and I had set the date, Dad had seemed genuinely thrilled. We'd sat at his kitchen table in his suburban Denver home, wedding magazines spread between us like battle plans, and he'd placed his weathered hand over mine. Nothing would make me prouder than walking my little girl down the aisle, he'd said, eyes crinkling at the corners the way they used to when I was small. For once, I'd believed him completely. But then Brittany called 3 months before the wedding, announcing her corporate promotion celebration scheduled for the exact same day. Same time. Same everything. And now, 2 hours before I'm supposed to marry the love of my life, he sends a text. A goddamn text. We need to move forward, Miranda says, her voice gentler now, like she's speaking to a wounded animal. Is there someone else who could walk you down the aisle? Perhaps your uncle? Or would you prefer to walk alone? Alone. The word echoes in my head like a death knell. My phone rings from where it landed on the carpet. Chloe retrieves it, the screen spiderwebbed but functional, and hands it to me wordlessly. Uncle Pete's name flashes across the damaged display. My father's older brother, the one who never missed a dance recital, graduation, or birthday party. I answer with trembling fingers. Hello. Flora, sweetheart. His voice is warm, concerned, like hot chocolate on a winter day. Your dad just called me. Honey, I don't know what to say. A sob escapes before I can stop it. He's not coming, Uncle Pete. I know. The anger in his tone is barely contained, like a pot about to boil over. And I am so damn sorry. I close my eyes, tears tracking through my carefully applied makeup like rivers through a drought. I don't know what to do. The silence stretches for only a heartbeat before Uncle Pete clears his throat. Would you allow me the honor of walking you down the aisle, sweetheart? Something breaks and mends simultaneously in my chest. You'd do that. In a heartbeat. I'm already in my truck. 20 minutes, Flora. Don't you worry about a thing. I end the call and look up at the circle of concerned faces around me, my bridesmaids Miranda, even the photographer who's been quietly documenting this disaster. Something shifts inside me then. A realization that maybe family isn't always who shares your DNA, but who shows up when your world falls apart. Uncle Pete is coming, I announce, standing straighter in my Vera Wang gown. He'll walk me down the aisle. And somehow, despite everything, I know I'll survive this. But then Chloe approaches cautiously, clutching her phone like it might explode. Flora, there's something you need to see. Brittany sent these to me by mistake last month. I wasn't sure if I should show you, but now. I take her iPhone with trembling fingers, the diamond catching the afternoon light streaming through the bay windows. The text thread is dated 3 weeks ago. Brittany, Dad's still wavering about Flora's wedding. Keep saying he'll make it work. Chloe, but he promised Flora, right? Brittany, don't worry. I know exactly how to keep Dad to myself on her big day. Already working on it. Chloe, Brittany, that's horrible. It's her wedding. Brittany, oops, wrong Chloe. Delete this. Not meant for bridal party eyes. The room tilts sideways. I sink onto the velvet vanity stool, the screen blurring before me. I should have shown you sooner, Chloe whispers. I just couldn't believe she'd actually sabotage my wedding day. My voice sounds hollow, like I'm speaking from the bottom of a well. Oh, I can believe it. The pattern stretches back 15 years, to those raw days after Mom died when 12-year-old me was drowning in grief and Brittany, at 15, systematically positioned herself as the woman of the house. She's been doing this for years. And he lets her. A knock interrupts my spiral into darkness. Miranda peeks through the door. Mrs. Henderson is here, Jake's mother. She's asking to see you. I nod, wiping hastily at my tears, trying to salvage what's left of my makeup. Patricia Henderson enters moments later, elegant in her navy mother-of-the-groom dress, her silver hair perfectly styled despite the Colorado humidity. Her eyes widen when she sees my tear-stained face. Oh, Flora. She crosses the room in 3 quick steps and takes my hands in hers, her wedding ring cool against my palm. Pete called us. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Since Jake introduced us 2 years ago at a family barbecue in Boulder, Patricia has shown me more maternal warmth than I've experienced since losing Mom. She remembered my favorite chocolate chip cookies from a casual mention months later. She calls just to chat. She sends care packages during finals week at Colorado State. I don't understand why he'd do this, I confess, the words catching in my throat like thorns. Patricia sits beside me on the small love seat, still holding my hands. When I was 26, my father refused to attend my wedding to Bill. He didn't approve of us marrying so young. Her voice carries the echo of old wounds. I waited until the last possible minute, hoping he'd change his mind. Did he come? She shakes her head, silver earrings catching the light. No. And for years after, I kept hoping for his approval, rearranging holidays around his schedule, making excuses when he missed the kids' birthdays, their graduations. Her fingers tighten around mine. Flora, this isn't just about today. It's about whether you'll let them keep breaking your heart for the rest of your life. The truth of her words lands like a physical weight in my chest. How many times had I rescheduled important events to accommodate Dad? How often had I swallowed disappointment when he cancelled last minute because Brittany needed something? I think of my first dinner at the Hendersons' house, how Bill had pulled out my chair, how Patricia had remembered I was lactose intolerant and made dairy-free dessert, how their whole family had welcomed me with genuine warmth, showing me what real family support looks like. I've been chasing his approval my whole life, I whisper. And what has it gotten you? Patricia asks gently. Heartbreak. Disappointment. I straighten my shoulders, something resolute taking shape inside me like steel cooling into strength. I won't let his absence ruin what should be the happiest day of my life. The grandfather clock shows we have 10 minutes before the ceremony should begin. 10 minutes to decide what kind of story today will tell, one of abandonment, or one of choosing joy despite it all. Pete will be here any second, Patricia says, standing gracefully. Shall I help you fix your makeup? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes with a text from Jake. Whatever you need today, I'm here. Even if that means waiting until tomorrow. I love you, Flora. Fresh tears spring to my eyes, but these are different. Tears of gratitude for the family I'm about to join, for the man who sees me completely and loves me anyway. I don't want to wait, I tell Patricia firmly. This day isn't about who isn't here. It's about Jake and me and the people who chose to show up. 10 minutes later, Uncle Pete stands in the doorway, slightly breathless in his hastily donned charcoal tuxedo. His silver hair is perfectly combed, his bow tie straight, and his eyes find mine with such love that my heart swells like a balloon. "Look at you," he says, stepping into the room. "Absolutely stunning, kiddo." "Thank you for everything," I manage, the words feeling inadequate for the gratitude flooding through me. "I love you, Uncle Pete. Nothing could have kept me away." His blue eyes, so much like my father's but infinitely kinder, crinkle at the corners. "I love you too, sweetheart." He reaches into his jacket pocket and produces a small velvet box. "I brought something for you." Inside, nestled against black satin, lies a strand of pearls with a delicate gold clasp. They glow with warm luster, like moonlight on water. "These belong to your grandmother," he explains, his voice thick with emotion. "Eleanor wore them at her wedding in 1954. I've kept them safe all these years, waiting for the right moment." My fingers hover over the pearls, trembling. "Uncle Pete, I couldn't possibly." "You can and you will." His voice is firm but gentle. "Your grandmother would have wanted you to have these. Your family, Flora. Real family." Rebecca steps forward without being asked. "Let me help you put them on." As she fastens the clasp behind my neck, the door opens again. Bill, Jake's father, pokes his head in wearing his own charcoal tuxedo. "Pete, I brought that boutonniere you asked for." The two men exchange a glance loaded with unspoken understanding, the look of fathers protecting their daughters. Bill enters, patting Pete's shoulder before turning to me. "Flora, everything's ready whenever you are." Jake's pacing a hole in the altar carpet. His attempt at humor brings a genuine smile to my face for the first time all day. "I just need a few minutes with my niece," Pete says. Bill nods, squeezes my hand, and leaves with the bridesmaids trailing behind him until only Pete and I remain in the suddenly quiet room. "Flora." Uncle Pete guides me to sit on the love seat. "I need to tell you something." He sits beside me, hands clasped between his knees. "When I graduated from Colorado State, your alma mater, my father refused to attend the ceremony." "What? Why?" "He wanted me to take over the family hardware store in Grand Junction. When I chose teaching instead, he saw it as betrayal." Pete's gaze turns distant. I sat in that auditorium, scanning the crowd for his face. He never came. My heart aches for the young man he'd been. "I'm so sorry." "Some men don't recognize what truly matters until it's too late," he continues. "My father realized his mistake years later, but we'd lost so much time." I touch the pearls at my throat, cool against my skin. "Did you forgive him?" "Eventually. But I never forgot who showed up that day instead." His fingers brush the necklace. "Your grandmother, wearing these very pearls. She told me she was twice as proud to make up for his absence." Miranda appears in the doorway, checking her watch. "Time to take positions, everyone." Pete stands, offering his arm with old-world courtesy. "Shall we go make some beautiful memories, sweetheart?" In the chapel at Magnolia Manor, afternoon sunlight streams through tall windows, casting golden rectangles across the white-carpeted aisle. 200 guests turn as the doors open, rising in unison like a wave. The photographer adjusts her position, capturing this unplanned but perfect moment, Uncle Pete and me, stepping into the light together. With each step down the aisle, something profound shifts between us. A bond strengthening, a silent understanding growing. His arm feels solid beneath my hand, his steps measured and sure, like he's been preparing for this moment his entire life. The string quartet plays Pachelbel's Canon in D, the notes floating through the air like butterflies. White roses and baby's breath line the aisle, their fragrance mixing with the scent of Pete's familiar cologne, the same old spice he's worn since I was small. Halfway down the aisle, I spot Jake waiting at the altar in his midnight blue tuxedo. His eyes lock with mine, and tears stream freely down his cheeks. Not tears of pity or sympathy, but something else entirely, something that looks remarkably like gratitude. Beside him, his parents beam with unmistakable pride. Patricia, who showed up this morning when I needed maternal comfort most, nods encouragingly. Bill straightens his tie, his chest puffed out like he's walking his own daughter down the aisle. When we reach the altar, Pete turns to face me. The familiar scent of his aftershave wraps around me like a warm blanket, like every childhood hug and bedtime story rolled into one perfect moment. With all the love of family chosen and given, he says, his voice carrying across the hushed chapel, I present Flora to you, Jake. He places my hand in Jake's waiting palm, and I feel the transfer of protection, of love, of commitment to my happiness. Pastor Williams steps forward, his voice warm and rich as honey. Welcome, beloved friends and family. We gather today to witness the joining of Flora and Jake in marriage. He pauses, his kind eyes moving between us. I want to acknowledge the special role Pete has played today. Some bonds are forged through blood, others through choice. Both can be equally sacred. A murmur of approval ripples through the congregation. From the corner of my eye, I see several relatives on my father's side shift uncomfortably in their seats. Dad's brother Mark, his wife Linda, their teenage kids who barely know me. Let them be uncomfortable. This moment belongs to those who chose to be present. The ceremony unfolds like a dream sequence. Vows exchanged with voices that don't shake. Rings placed on fingers steady with conviction. A kiss that tastes of promise and new beginnings and the salt of happy tears. Throughout it all, Uncle Pete stands nearby in the front row, a sentinel of support, a guardian of my happiness. But then, just as Pastor Williams pronounces us husband and wife, I notice a commotion at the back of the chapel. The heavy oak doors creak open, and there, silhouetted against the late afternoon sun, stands a familiar figure. My father. He's wearing a wrinkled suit that looks like he slept in it, his hair disheveled, his face pale with what might be regret or panic or both. He slips into the very last pew just as Jake lifts my veil for our first kiss as husband and wife. Too late, I think, and surprisingly, it doesn't hurt as much as I expected it would. 2 hours later, at the reception in Magnolia Manor's Grand Ballroom, the DJ's voice booms across the space filled with twinkling lights and cascading white flowers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Jake Henderson, escorted by their beloved Uncle Pete. We enter to thunderous applause, Pete's steady hand at my back as we make our way to the head table. The ballroom sparkles like a fairy tale, crystal chandeliers casting rainbows on the walls, centerpieces of white roses and eucalyptus, a dance floor that gleams under the soft lighting. When it's time for the father-daughter dance, I feel that familiar pang of loss, another tradition highlighting absence. But Pete steps forward without hesitation, offering his weathered hand. Just for a minute, he says with a gentle smile, then your husband gets his turn. We sway to the opening notes of The Way You Look Tonight, his formal posture gradually relaxing as the tension I've carried all day begins to dissolve into the music. Thank you, I whisper against his shoulder. No need for thanks among family, kiddo, he replies, spinning me with surprising grace. Jake cuts in smoothly, pulling me close as the song transitions to our wedding song, All of Me by John Legend. Over his shoulder, I spot my father hovering at the edge of the celebration, a glass of untouched champagne in his hand, watching us with hollow eyes. He came after all, Jake murmurs, following my gaze. Too late, I reply, surprised by the absence of anger in my voice. Just clarity, like storm clouds clearing. Some moments you can't get back. Dad remains at the periphery for another hour, making awkward small talk with distant relatives, checking his phone repeatedly. For the first time in my life, I don't feel the pull to make things easier for him, to bridge the gap he created. The crystalline chime of silverware against glass ripples through the reception hall as Jake's best man, Connor, prepares to give his toast. Laughter fades as guests turn toward the center of the room. But before Connor can speak, I feel a tap on my shoulder. Flora. My father's voice cuts through the moment like a blade. I turn slowly, steeling myself. Robert Patterson stands behind me, his hair still disheveled, tie askew, like he's been running his hands through both all day. You made it, I say, voice flat as Kansas prairie. Traffic was brutal from downtown, he gestures vaguely. I tried calling but I was getting married. The words taste sharp on my tongue. His eyes dart around the reception, taking in the elegant centerpieces, the fairy lights, the happiness radiating from every corner, everything he missed by choice. You could have made this easier, he says, and my blood turns to ice water. Pushed the ceremony back an hour or two. Made what easier, Dad? My voice drops to barely above a whisper. Your choice. Before he can answer, my cousin Danny appears at my elbow. His usual easygoing manner has vanished, replaced by something harder, more determined. Sorry to interrupt, Danny says, not sounding sorry at all. He holds his phone out. But I thought you both should see this. The screen shows a group chat with Brittany and several of her co-workers from the marketing firm where she just got promoted. And what we see makes everything clear. The phone screen shows Brittany's social media post, time-stamped 4:30 p.m., right in the middle of my ceremony. Corporate celebration at Brass Monkey. Dad chose the right daughter today. Cocktail glass #promotion party #daddy's girl. Below it, photos of maybe 15 people at a trendy downtown Denver bar, cocktails raised, everyone laughing. Including my father's business partner, who was supposedly driving him to my wedding. Danny swipes to another screenshot, a text thread from last week. Brittany, Dad's still waffling about Flora's wedding versus my party. Unknown number, just tell him the party got moved up. Make him choose. Brittany, already did. Told him 4 p.m. instead of 7. He'll have to pick, and we know who he'll pick. Smiling face with horns. The air leaves my lungs. My father's face drains of color like water down a sink. She told me it was an emergency, he stammers. That her boss moved the time last minute and she needed me therefore. For what? I ask, my voice eerily calm. To watch her drink overpriced cocktails while your daughter got married? Uncle Pete appears beside us, his presence both protective and dignifying. Robert, he says quietly. Maybe it's time to go. I need to explain, Dad insists, his voice rising. Nearby conversations halt. If I had known. You would have what? The question hangs between us like a bridge I'm no longer willing to cross. Kept your promise? Been there for once when it actually mattered. I want to apologize. No. The word comes out stronger than I expected, carrying across the sudden quiet of the reception. You made your choice weeks ago when you started looking for excuses. Now I'm making mine. Something fundamental shifts in the air between us. The invisible threads that have bound me to his approval for 27 years snap cleanly. I feel their absence like phantom pain, uncomfortable but ultimately freeing. Flora, his voice breaks on my name. Enjoy the reception, Dad. I turn away, walking steadily back to Jake's waiting arms. Patricia takes my hand as I rejoin their table. Are you all right, sweetheart? Yes. And surprisingly, I really am. Better than all right. From across the room, I watch Uncle Pete gently guide my father toward the exit, speaking in low, firm tones. The conversation is brief, respectful, and final. A year later, I'm standing in the nursery of our new home in Fort Collins, hanging pictures on the soft yellow walls. Jake enters with 2 mugs of coffee, setting mine on the changing table before wrapping his arms around my growing belly. The christening photos came back, he says, showing me the prints on his phone. There's Uncle Pete holding our daughter Emma, his face radiant with grandfatherly pride. There's Patricia teaching me how to properly swaddle. There's Bill assembling the crib with the patience of a saint. And there in the corner of one photo, is my father, tentative, careful, holding Emma for the first time with wonder in his eyes. He's trying, Jake observes. I nod, touching the pearls at my throat, the ones I wear every Sunday dinner now, the ones that remind me who showed up when it mattered most. One Sunday at a time, I agree. Because sometimes, family is about second chances. But first, it's about first chances, given to the right people.